Hello everyone, welcome to another video. After 19 videos, we have finally reached the end of my Kubernetes Gateway API series. Today I want to take a moment to recap the entire journey, but I'm also using this video as a bit of an experiment. For the first time, I'm recording with a full script and a teleprompter. So my hope is that the quality of the video will improve, because I can focus 100% on the delivery rather than searching for the right words. Of course, I'm also curious to see if I end up looking a bit too focused on the prompter, so let me know in the comments what you think of this approach. I also want to be fully transparent. While I usually keep my content strictly AI free, I thought this recap would be the perfect test case for the AI capabilities. Therefore, I've used Gemini to help me draft the script. It's a great way to see how an AI handles summarization of a massive series like this, but I don't plan on making this a regular thing. If I decide to stick with scripted videos in the future, I'll be writing them myself in my own words. My first impressions of the AI were not great because it hallucinated a lot, such as completely creating new titles. But we'll see how it goes. I'm editing the video right now and want to give you a heads up on the summary and the script generated by Gemini. Some parts are completely made up, and towards the end I stopped the script a couple of times because it is so ridiculously what the AI generated, and I point out all the mistakes it made for that particular video I just talked about. To conclude the results of Gemini, I have to say that it would be faster and way better quality if I write the script myself. Using Gemini for the script makes the video absolutely worse, but this is what I want to test. And it also is kinda entertaining hearing the nonsense it sometimes makes up. If you're not interested in this, I totally understand and hope to see you for a new video in the regular quality next week. But otherwise, it may be entertaining seeing me read the AI script. So let's continue with the script for now. I originally planned for this series to be 13 or 14 videos, but as you know, it grew into 19. So let's dive in and recap how we got here. Part 1 is Ingress dead. We kick off the series by addressing the elephant in the room. Is the traditional Ingress resource finally reaching its end of life? For years, Ingress has been the standard for getting traffic into Kubernetes, but it has always felt like a lowest common denominator solution. It lacked a standard for advanced features like rewrites or traffic splitting, leading to a fragmented ecosystem of vendor-specific annotations. In this video, I introduce the Kubernetes Gateway API. We look at how it shifts from a single monolithic resource to a role-oriented model by splitting responsibilities between the infrastructure provider, the cluster operator, and the application developer. The Gateway API provides a much cleaner separation of concerns. So this isn't just a new version of Ingress, it's a fundamental rethink of how we handle network in cloud-native environments. Part 2, the Azure Application Gateway for container setup in AKS. So once we understood the why, we move into the how by setting up the Azure Application Gateway for containers. This is Microsoft's managed implementation of the Gateway API, and it can be a game changer if you're using AKS. Unlike the older application gateway Ingress controller, which relied on syncing complex state, the Azure Application Gateway for Container is built from the ground up to be cloud native. In this video, I show you the prerequisites for getting started. We cover the deployment of the ELB controller, the application load balancer, and the creation of the gateway resource itself. The key takeaway here is the transition from managing a heavy, long-running virtual appliance to a more elastic, high-performance managed service that scales effortlessly with our AKS workload. Part 3. Host multiple applications with one application gateway for containers. One of the most immediate benefits of the Gateway API is its inherent support for multi-tenancy. In this video, I demonstrate how to host multiple applications behind a single application gateway for a container instance. In the old world, you might have struggled with complex ingress rules or deploying multiple controllers, which increases both the cost and also the management overhead. With the Gateway API, we use HTTP routes. So these are resources to delegate the traffic to different backend services based on the host name. I show you how to configure your listeners so that one gateway can handle traffic for multiple domains. And this is a crucial concept for anyone looking to optimize their cloud spend while also maintaining a clean, organized routing structure. Part 4. Automating DNS records for AKS TLS setups. A production-ready environment isn't complete without automated naming. It's one thing to have a working gateway, but manually updating A records or CNAME records in your DNS zone every time an IP changes is not sustainable. Therefore, I show you a very simple PowerShell script to automatically create or update DNS records in an Azure DNS zone. Part 5. Cert-Manager. Automated HTTPS for everyone. Security should never be an afterthought. In this installment, we tackle the automation of TLS certificates using the Cert-Manager and Let's Encrypt. We focus on the HTTP 1 challenge, which is the most common way to prove the ownership of a domain. I explain how the Cert-Manager interacts with the Gateway API to automatically provision certificates based on the host names defined in the gateway. We look at the lifecycle of a certificate from the initial request to the automatic renewal before the expiration. And this ensures that your applications are always served over HTTPS without you ever having to manually touch a certificate again. Part 6. Cert-Manager and Azure DNS for wildcard certificates on AKS. While the HTTP 1 challenges are great for individual sites, sometimes you need more flexibility. In Part 6, we dive into wildcard certificates using the DNS 1 challenge. This is particularly useful for environments where you might have dozens of subdomains and don't want to manage a unique certificate for every single one. I show you how to configure the Cert-Manager to solve the DNS challenge by creating a temporary TXT record in your Azure DNS zone. This requires a bit more setup in terms of RBAC and managed identities, but the result is a single powerful certificate that can secure your wildcard domains. This is a foundational piece of the dynamic environments we will build later in the series. Part 7. CI/CD for AKS dynamic pull request environments with TLS. This is where the series starts to get really exciting. We take everything we have learned so far about the DNS and TLS and apply it to a real-world DevOps workflow pull request. I walk you through this logic of creating these ephemeral environments. We use automated namespaces and dynamic routing to ensure that each feature branch can be tested in a production-like setting. This significantly increases the developer velocity and confidence as stakeholders can review changes in a live environment before a single line of code is merged into the main branch. Part 8. AKS Gateway Routing, Path, Query and Headers. The Gateway API isn't just about host names. It's about incredibly granular traffic control. In part 8 of this series, we explore the advanced matching capabilities of the HTTP route. We look at how to route traffic based on URL paths, specific query parameters, and even custom HTTP headers. This level of control is essential for complex applications. Maybe you want to send mobile users to a different service, or perhaps you need to route traffic to a specific beta backend if a certain header is present. I show you how to implement these rules without the annotation setup that plagued the old Ingress model, using the native structured fields provided by the Gateway API. Part 9, URL rewrite and URL redirect with Application Gateway for containers. Often the structure of your public URLs doesn't perfectly match your internal service paths. In this video, we cover URL rewrites and redirects. This is a common requirement when migrating legacy applications or simply trying to provide a cleaner user experience. I demonstrate how to use filters within your HTTP route to transparently rewrite a path before it reaches the backend, or to issue a 301 or 302 redirect to the browser. We discuss the practical differences between these two approaches and when to use each. This ensures that your gateway isn't just a dumb pipe, but an intelligent traffic manager that can adapt to your application's needs. Part 10, AKS traffic splitting, canary and AB deployments. One of the most requested features for any modern Ingress solution is the ability to do traffic splitting. In part 10, we look at how the Gateway API makes canary releases and AB testing incredibly straightforward. Instead of an all or nothing deployment, I show you how to assign weights to different backend services. You can start by sending only 10% of your traffic to a new version of your app and slowly increase it as you verify the health of the release. This built-in support for weighted routing is a massive step forward for teams looking to implement progressive delivery and reduce the blast radius of new deployments. Part 11, AKS monitoring with Prometheus and Grafana. You can't manage what you can't measure. In this installment, we focus on observability. We set up the managed Prometheus and Grafana services in Azure to get a clear picture of what's happening at our gateway. I show you how to scrape metrics from the application load balancer controller and visualize them in a dashboard. We look at key performance indicators like request, latency, error rates, and throughput. Having this data at your fingertips is critical for troubleshooting and for understanding how your traffic patterns change over time, especially when you're performing the traffic splits we have discussed in the previous video. Part 12, Web Application Firewall Security for AKS with the Application Gateway for containers. As your applications grow, so does the threat landscape. In part 12, we add a critical security layer by integrating the Web Application Firewall with your Application Gateway for containers. This allows us to protect our cluster from common exploits like SQL injection and cross-site scripting. I walk you through assigning the Web Application Firewall policies to your gateway and look at how to use the OWASP core rule sets. We also touch on geographic filtering, showing you how to block traffic from specific countries before it ever reaches your internal network. This moves your security to the edge, providing a robust first-line defense for your Kubernetes workloads. Part 13, Kubernetes Gateway API with Nginx. Ditching the cloud provider lock-in. Up until now, we have focused heavily on Azure-specific tools, but portability is one of the biggest promises of the Gateway API. In part 13 of the series, we look at the Nginx Gateway Fabric. This is the official Nginx implementation of the Gateway API. I show you how to install it on AKS and demonstrate that the same HTTP route resources we used for the Application Gateway for containers work here as well. This is a vital lesson for anyone worried about vendor login. By using the Nginx Gateway Fabric, you can maintain a consistent configuration across different cloud providers or even on-premise environments, ensuring your network logic remains truly portable. Deploy Traffic Gateway API on EKS in minutes. Continuing our look at different implementations, we dive into Traffic. Traffic has always been a favorite in the Kubernetes community for its simplicity and its focus on dynamic configurations. In this video, we see how they have embraced the Gateway API. I walk you through the deployment and show you how Traffic handles things like middleware and automatic service discovery within the Gateway API framework. This comparison helps you understand that while the language of the Gateway API is standard, different controllers can still offer unique features and performance characteristics tailored to your specific needs. Part 15: Envoy Gateway API Setup and Installation. Envoy has become the industry standard for high-performance service proxies. In Part 15, we look at the Envoy Gateway project, which aims to provide a simplified Gateway API native way to manage Envoy as an entry point for Kubernetes. I show you the installation process and explain the architecture of the Envoy Gateway. Then we discuss its high-performance characteristics and why it's becoming the go-to choice for massive scale environments. This video is essential for anyone looking for a modern, extensible proxy that can handle the most demanding traffic requirements. Here I have to go off script because the script says we discussed high-performance characteristics and why it's becoming the industry standard for high performance. That's something the AI completely made up. Like, I never talked about this, but I thought I will just leave it in there to just give you my expression of how the AI works and how it doesn't work sometimes. So you can ignore this, but this video was an implementation of, but what's true is that I showed you in this video how to install the Envoy Gateway API, and I also mentioned that this is my favorite of the last 3 ones where I compared Nginx, Traffic and Envoy, because it's the easiest to set up and it also has the best documentation. So from now on, when I use the Gateway API, I will use the Envoy solution. So if this said, now let's go back to the script and continue with the recap of the remaining videos. Part 16, Envoy Gateway and Cert-Manager. Zero-touch TLS without the certificate objects. Building on the Envoy introduction, we look at a specific powerful integration, zero-touch TLS. While we previously used the Cert-Manager to create a certificate object, the Envoy Gateway allows for an even tighter integration. I show you how Envoy can directly manage the TLS lifecycle through the gateway resource. This simplifies your YAML even further, reducing the amount of boilerplate code developers need to write. It's a glimpse into the future of invisible infrastructure, where security and routing are so well integrated that they become almost transparent to the end user. So here again, I have to go off script because this is a Gateway API and Cert-Manager feature, not Envoy specific. But in this video, I used Envoy to show it to you. But if you use Nginx or Traffic, you can have the fully automated certificates the same way. Part 17, Nginx Ingress and Cert-Manager, the legacy way versus Gateway API. So here I have to stop again because the part of the script I'm going to read you next is completely hallucinated by the AI. Like, it makes up that we compare Gateway API and Ingress, which is not true at all. So I'm going to read the script to you and then I'm telling you what's actually in the video. But for now, let's see what the AI generated. Many people are still running the legacy Nginx ingress controller. In part 17, I do a side-by-side comparison to show exactly how the two worlds differ. We look at the standard configuration, complete with Cert-Manager and annotations, and translate it into the Gateway API model. This video is designed to be a practical guide for migration. I address the common pain points and explain why the move to the Gateway API is worth the effort. It's not just about using the latest tools, it's about moving to a structured, scalable API that will be supported for years to come. What the AI, or Gemini in this case, wrote is almost funny because I didn't say anything about it. It's kind of the opposite. Like I said, if you're using Ingress and you're happy with it, there's no reason to move to the Gateway API. I would recommend to never touch a running system. So if it works for you, just keep on using. The only thing is, if you're using the open source Nginx solution that's end of life in March, then you have to find another solution to migrate to. In this case, moving to the Gateway API might be a good idea because you get the new features. This means the modularity, you can have separation of concern. But if you move to a different ingress controller like traffic, that's great as well. So you should do whatever is the best for your project or your team. I also don't show you a comparison between Ingress and the Gateway API in this video and how to migrate it. I just show you how you can use Nginx and set up the Cert-Manager so you can see how it is done in Ingress and then can compare yourself to the Gateway API if you've watched the series so far. So it seems like this is turning out into a video how bad the AI is, but I think since it's more an experimental video for me, showing how to read from a prompter with the AIs, I just leave this part in the final version of the video, and then we'll continue with the usual videos next week. For now, let's move to the last two videos, and then let's finish this video. Part 18, the AKS Application Gateway for Containers add-on. Azure is constantly evolving, and near the end of the series, they released a managed add-on for the Application Gateway for Containers. This add-on simplifies the installation significantly. Instead of manually managing the controller and the subnets, the add-on handles much of the complexity for you. In this video, I walk through the new way of getting started with the Application Gateway for Containers. We see how the add-on integrates directly with the AKS deployment, making it easier than ever to adopt the Gateway API. This is the recommended path for most users today, as it provides a more seamless Azure native experience. The last video of the series, part 19, Infrastructure to App, Production-Ready Gateway API Pipeline. Finally, we bring everything together in a massive end-to-end automation walkthrough. In part 19, I show you a complete Azure DevOps pipeline that takes from an empty resource group to a fully production-ready environment. We automate the cluster creation, the application gateway for container setup, the DNS integration, and the application deployment, all with a single run. I even show you how to integrate the pull request deployments we discussed earlier into a standardized CI/CD flow. This is the final exam of the series, proving that the Gateway API isn't just a theoretical concept, but a powerful tool that can be fully automated in a modern DevOps world. So that's a lot what the AI wrote here. First, I'm not using the Application Gateway for Containers. I'm using the Envoy proxy or Envoy gateway and just install it via Helm. So nothing of this is true. And also what it wrote in the end, that this is the final exam of proving that it's not just a theoretical concept. I think after 19 videos, we have seen that it's not just a concept and it works in a real world project or environment. And I don't even know what to say about it. So from my next videos on, I'm definitely not going to use the AI for this. I'm going to write the script myself if I decide to use the prompter. And if you're not, I'll just freestyle the videos as I've done before. So this was the recap of the 19 videos. Now let's see what the AI wrote as the summary for this video. And that's it. 19 videos later, we have officially journeyed from the very first is Ingress dead discussion all the way to building full-scale production-ready DevOps pipelines. I really hope the series has given you the blueprint you need to modernize your traffic management and to start taking advantage of everything the Gateway API has to offer in AKS and beyond. It's been a long road, but seeing how these tools can simplify and secure our clusters makes the learning curve completely worth it, in my opinion. If any part of the series sparked a question, or if you're hitting a specific roadblock with your own implementation, please drop a comment below. It would mean a lot if you could also hit the like button and share this video with your team or anyone else who might be interested in the Gateway API. It's the best way to support the channel and help me to keep producing these in-depth videos. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this entire series. I hope to see you next week for another video.